So I promised in my last video that I would share with you all the books that I hauled from the local book fair recently. There was quite a few, and honestly I only stopped because I couldn't physically carry any more. So I scored a couple of classics, let's say. I don't know, modern day classics. So the first one I got was Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. Haven't read any of these, so I figured may as well start with the first one. Not gonna lie that I am intimidated to read these because that is a thick boy and that text is small. So in saying that, this is, if we're including the glossary at the back, trying to get past it all, 780 pages, which I'm pretty sure would be the longest book I've read ever. I'm pretty sure. So this may sit on the shelf for a little bit before I try and tackle it. I know that there are lots of different characters in Game of Thrones. I never watched the whole series through. I watched sort of bits here and there. Like I started with the first few episodes, I think, and I watched them back to back, and then kind of got over the multiple, like lots and lots of different characters that you had to try and keep track of. So decided that it wasn't worth it. And just sort of jumped in randomly. Like I watched the Red Wedding episode and I watched the final episode and all that sort of stuff. But because it was such a huge phenomenon and it was in public, like pop culture so much, I kind of knew what happened anyway. So I didn't feel like I was missing out, but I'm sure the book is different to the show. I know that the last season definitely is, because everybody was outraged by the final episode. So it'd be interesting to see if this is better, in my opinion. So at some point I will tackle this. Book 2. Now I said in my last video that I was a Kate Morton fan. I found another one of her books, The Lake House. Now when I knew about this book from when I bought The Clockmaker's Daughter. And I actually thought that at the time that this was the book that was for the movie The Lake House with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. It's not. Just coincidental title, as it turns out. If it's anything like her other books, I've only read one, but I now have, what have I got now? 5 of them, I think, on my shelf. So they all seem to be set around the 20s and 30s for the most part, which is interesting. So, The Lake House, June 1933, and the Edivan family's country house, Leoneth, is polished and gleaming, ready for the much-anticipated Midsummer Eve party. But by the time midnight strikes and the fireworks light up the night skies, the Edivan family will have suffered a loss so great that they leave Leoneth forever. Leoneth? I'm going to say Leoneth forever. 70 years later, okay, we're doing a time jump. 70 years later, after a particularly troubling case, Detective Sadie Sparrow retreats on an enforced holiday to her beloved grandfather's cottage in Cornwall. Okay, this is giving... All of her books seem to follow a very similar plot. Not that that's a bad thing. There's plenty of authors who follow the same plot for all of their books, and they're all equally as popular, so... Venturing further into the countryside on her daily run, she stumbles upon a long-abandoned house surrounded by overgrown gardens and dense woods, and learns the terrible story of a baby boy who disappeared without a trace. Meanwhile, the formidable Alice Edivan now leads a life as neatly plotted as the best-selling detective novel she writes. Until Sadie Sparrow starts asking questions about Alice's family's past, seeking to resurrect the complex tangle of secrets Alice has spent her life trying to escape. With a mystery that's become deeply personal to Sadie and a novelist who is intent on hiding the past, can the secrets of that night ever be solved? Okay. Intrigued. We love a good mystery. Next one I got is the other one that I was referring to as a modern day classic. because I have seen various booktubers. One in particular that I follow was intimidated and a little bit scared to read this one. And he finally took the plunge this year, I think, and absolutely loved it. So, similarly, I am taking the plunge. Ken Follett's Pillars of the Earth. So, obviously, it's the first in a series, in quite a big series, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see. We'll tackle the first one and see how we go. I'm not going to promise that I'm going to read the whole series. So set in the turbulent times of the 12th century England, when civil war, famine, religious strife, and battles over royal succession tore lives and families apart, The Pillars of the Earth tells the story of the building of a magnificent cathedral. Against this richly imagined backdrop, filled with intrigue and treachery, Ken Follett draws the reader irresistibly into a wonderful epic of family drama, violent conflict, and unswerving ambition. From humble stonemason to imperious monarch, the dreams, labours, and loves of his characters come vividly to life. The Pillars of the Earth is without doubt a masterpiece and has proved to be one of the most popular books of our time. I'm curious when it was published, actually. I have a feeling it was in the 80s, because I seem to remember this sitting on my grandparents' shelf. Oh, it's as old as me, 1989. There you go. That's a good year. So yeah, looking forward to that. So it's not the only Ken Follett that I managed to pick up at this book fair. You're currently sitting on two more, which I will show you in a minute. But the next book that I got, it just kind of caught my attention as a nice, quick sort of cozy romance type book, potentially. The Book of Love by Philippa Fioretti. So it does say that it's a seductive mystery that will steal your heart. So maybe not just cozy romance, which intrigues me. An adventure packed with comedy and romance that flies from Sydney to Rome in a whirlwind of pretty dresses, daring actions, and a furious race against time. That was what I read when I was at the book fair, which made me want to buy it. Because Sydney to Rome, obviously I'm Australian. Sydney is where I don't live in Sydney. I'm not far from Sydney, a couple of hours. But a whirlwind of pretty dresses. I love fashion as well. So I'm not opposed to either of those. When Lily, a self-styled queen of fashion, and Robbie, her longtime boyfriend, uncover a rare volume of ancient erotica, in a box of books destined for sale in their shop, they have no idea of the mystery that is about to unfold. While Robbie wants to sell it to the highest bidder, Lily is adamant they returned to its rightful home. But when William, a dashing Russian, walks into the shop and starts asking questions about stolen artworks, things take a turn for the worse. Robbie disappears and Lily is left to answer some increasingly difficult questions. To find out if Robbie is dead or alive, Lily and William form an uneasy alliance and head for Italy. In this deadly game of trust, secrets are traded and Lily must decide which man is worthy of her loyalty and her heart. Okay. Interesting. So, those are all of the, I want to say smaller books, but let's be honest, they're not that small. We then go on to a couple of hardbacks and another Kate Morton, The Secret Keeper. So, this is the only one of hers that I have in hardcover now. Oh, and it's a little bit different time period by the looks of it. 1961, the year my mum was born. On a sweltering summer's day, while her family picnics by the stream on their Suffolk farm, 16-year-old Laurel hides out in her childhood treehouse, dreaming of a boy called Billy, a move to London, and the bright future she can't wait to seize. But before the idyllic afternoon is over, Laurel will have witnessed a shocking crime that changes everything. 2011. Now a much-loved actress, Laurel finds herself overwhelmed by shades of the past. Haunted by memories and the mystery of what she saw that day, she returns to her family home and begins to piece together a secret history. A tale of three strangers from vastly different worlds, Dorothy, Vivian, and Jimmy, who are brought together by chance in wartime London and whose lives become fiercely and fatefully entwined. Shifting between the 30s and the 60s and the present, The Secret Keeper is a spellbinding story of mysteries and secrets, theatre and thievery, murder and enduring love. And the other bonus that I love, it has a ribbon. I love it when books have a ribbon. So that, based on all her other books, does sound very interesting. 30s, 40s, wartime, 60s, and now. Very interesting. So the next one, also a hardcover, Dan Brown's Origin. So obviously, like most of the planet, I read The Da Vinci Code back, probably not right when it came out, but not long after. I also read The Lost Symbol when it was released, I'm going to say 10 years ago now, probably. And I think, do I or do I not? No. I did have it in hardcover. I must have donated it at some point. I'm not one who tends to reread my books unless it's like I've got the original Harry Potters, obviously, and since they came out, I hadn't reread them until COVID. So other stuff, if it's a really good book, I will keep it. If it's a pretty book that looks nice on the shelf, I will keep it. Unless it's one that I am definitely never ever going to read, then I'll just donate it. But yeah, so I have read a couple of Dan Brown's books. So I'm interested to see, this is another Robert Langdon story. So I'm familiar with that world already. I think I did try to read Deception Point at some point and I couldn't get into it. I got a couple of chapters in and then DNF'd it. I don't remember ever reading Angels and Demons, although maybe I did. So I've definitely dabbled in this world. So yeah, interested in Origin. So obviously Robert Langdon, Harvard professor of symbology and religious iconology, arrives at the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao to attend the unveiling of a discovery that will change the face of science forever. The evening's host is his friend and former student Edmund Kirsch, a 40-year-old tech magnate whose dazzling inventions and audacious predictions have made him a controversial figure around the world. This evening is to be no exception. He claims he will reveal an astonishing breakthrough to challenge the fundamentals of human existence, but Langdon and several hundred other guests are left reeling when the meticulously orchestrated evening is blown apart before Kirsch's precious discovery can be revealed. With his life under threat, Langdon is forced into a desperate bid to escape. Along with the museum's director, Amber Vidal, together they flee to Barcelona on a perilous quest to locate a cryptic password that will unlock Kirsch's secret. Against an enemy who is one step ahead of them at every turn, Langdon and Vidal must navigate the labyrinthine. Try that again. Must navigate the labyrinthine passageways of the city. On a trail marked only by enigmatic symbols and elusive modern art, Langdon and Vidal uncover the clues that will bring them face to face with a world-shaking truth that has remained buried until now. Okay, so giving off Da Vinci Code vibes. And the next book that I got, I had never heard of before, and the cover caught my attention. How to Be Remembered by Michael Thompson. So obviously when I initially drawn to a cover, I do flip it over and quickly read the blurb on the back. And if it intrigues me, then I'll get it. Otherwise, I'll put it back. So on an ordinary night in an ordinary year, Tommy Llewellyn's doting parents wake in a home without toys or nappies, without photos of their baby scattered about, and without any idea that the small child asleep in his cot is theirs. That's because Tommy is a boy destined never to be remembered. On the same day every year, everyone around him forgets he exists, and he grows up enduring his own universal reset. That is until something extraordinary happens. Tommy Llewellyn falls in love. Determined to finally carve out a life for himself and land the girl of his dreams, Tommy sets out on a mission to trick the universe and be remembered. But legacies aren't so easily won, and Tommy must figure out what's more important, the things we leave behind or the people we bring along with us. So, yeah, that intrigued me. Interesting concept. And the next one that I picked up was just a I've wanted for a while now to have some themed type books that I can read at certain times of the year. Like at Halloween, I've had, is it tourist season, I think it's called, or harvest season, one or the other, on my TBR. I screenshotted on my phone for months now, which I would love to get a copy of and read at Halloween. Likewise, this one I got to read at Christmas. So A Country Farm Christmas is actually a collection of 4 stories by various authors, all Christmas themed and Australian based. So you have The Christmas Contract by Pamela Cook, A Fairy Tale for Christmas by Penelope Janu, The Christmas Kindness Project by Lily Malone, and Christmas at Yindi Creek by Stella Quinn. So going to enjoy reading this at Christmas, which might be 6 months away or thereabouts, but that's fine. I've got so many books on my shelf that it's going to take me forever to read them anyway. I'll be 175 by the time I get through them all. Let's be honest. The next one that I got caught my attention by not just the cover, but the title, The Ink Black Heart by Robert Galbraith. I've heard of this author before, have never read any of his stuff. And honestly, this book is hefty. It's pretty thick, but it's got some pretty small font too. Oh, looked like it had some code in it. Oh no, okay. So while it is very big, yep, 1,012 pages. So like Game of Thrones, this is bigger. It's also physically bigger. So that'll be interesting. It is apparently a #1 bestseller. So when frantic, disheveled Edie Ledwell appears in the office begging to speak to her, Private Detective Robin Ellicott doesn't know quite what to make of the situation. The co-creator of a popular cartoon, The Ink Black Heart, Edie is being persecuted by a mysterious online figure who goes by the pseudonym of Anime. Not sure if that's how I pronounce it, but we'll go with that. Edie is desperate to uncover Anime's true identity. Robin decides that the agency can't help with this and thinks nothing more of it until a few days later when she reads the shocking news that Edie has been tasered and then murdered in Highgate Cemetery, the location of the Ink Black Heart. Robin and her business partner, Cormoran Strike, what a name, Cormoran Strike, become drawn into the quest to uncover Anime's true identity. But with a complex web of online aliases, business interests, and family conflicts to navigate, Strike and Robin find themselves embroiled in a case that stretches their powers of deduction to the limits, and which threatens them in new and horrifying ways. So, obviously, that intrigued me a lot. Crime, mystery, intrigue, right up my alley. Next one that I got, I didn't initially realize the significance of the title, or that it was actually telling you on the cover what it was about, but it was Booth by Karen Joy Fowler. Now, it wasn't until, so it grabbed my attention initially just from the look of it, but then when I read the synopsis on the back, 6 brothers and sisters, one terrible act that will shatter their bond forever. Still doesn't tell you what it's about, really, okay? Sort of grabs your attention, but in 1822, Junius Booth, disgraced Englishman, celebrated Shakespearean actor, and master of the house in all ways, moves his family to a remote cabin outside Baltimore. Year by year, the country draws closer to the boiling point of civil war. Of the 6 Booth siblings who survived to adulthood, Booth siblings, each has their own dreams, and they must fight to realize them. Each must fight to emerge from the shadows of their talented but unstable father. But it is Johnny who makes the terrible decision that will change the course of history: to assassinate Abraham Lincoln. Vivid, perceptive, and troublingly relevant to the world of today, Booth is a profound, sweeping novel focused on the very things that bind and break a family. So, fictional, obviously, but based on John Wilkes Booth and his family. So definitely caught my attention because I love history. despite being Australian, I do like American history as well. I studied African American history and American history at university on the side. It wasn't part of my degree that I was going for. I was just interested. The Good Liars by Anita Frank. So initially grabbed my attention because it looks 1920s-ish. And you've got the, I'm completely blanking on the art style that this is. Art Nouveau popped into my head, but that's not right. You know what it is. Anyway, so in the summer of 1914, a boy vanishes, never to be seen again. Now in 1920, the once esteemed Stillwell family of Darkacre Hall find themselves struggling with the legacy of the First World War. Leonard bears the physical scars, while his brother Maurice has endured more than his mind can take. Maurice's wife Ida yearns for the lost days of privilege and pleasure, and family friend Victor seems unwilling to move on. But their lives are thrown into further disarray when the missing boy's case is reopened, and this time they themselves are under police scrutiny. As the dead return to haunt the living, old resentments resurface and loyalties are tested, while secrets risk being unearthed that could destroy them all. This one is a ex-Vinnie's book. It's got a sticker on the back. So it's not very thick, which is a bonus. It's always nice after you finish something like that, for example, to pick up a nice quick read of 300 odd pages. So yeah, the last book I have before I rearrange things because it's sitting on 2 more books is this one. I believe is actually a fairly recent release, which I was quite happy to discover. Also based in Australia. And it is The Model Murder. Is one of the Tea Ladies Mysteries books by Amanda Hampson. So this one is set in Sydney, 1968. When a popular local man is murdered, police are quick to pin the blame on his glamorous model fiancée, who has since disappeared. But Hazel suspects a criminal cover-up and rallies the tea ladies to investigate, a quest that brings danger right to her door. Getting the feeling that this isn't the first book. Hold that thought. Where is it? It's not going to tell me. Or did I miss it? Oh, there we go. Okay, so she's written quite a few books, but there is one called simply The Tea Ladies, and then there's another 2 that are subtitled A Tea Ladies Mystery, as well as this one. So this could potentially be book 4. Betty becomes immersed in a local theatre group where there is more drama off stage than on it, further complicated by her infatuation with the enigmatic leading man. Irene aspires to a new career as a debt collector, but her first case has more frustrations and obstacles than she bargained for, even with the help of a new weapon. Meanwhile, Merle's long-buried family secret threatens to unravel her carefully constructed life. When she stumbles upon evidence that her detective son-in-law is corrupt, she's forced to swallow her pride and reunite with the other tea ladies, enlisting their help to expose him. So, another not so big 300-ish, 300-ish pages. Little murder mystery, which I don't think I have many murder mysteries on my shelves, particularly, if any. So nice to have a different genre to jump into. All my words are blending together. Okay, so now I have to rearrange slightly in order to, how many books am I'm gonna do this. Okay, so the final 2 books are intimidating as hell, let me tell you, because they are Ken Follett's Fall of Giants and Winter of the World. Now, I incorrectly assumed that these were part of the same series that is Pillars of the Earth. Apparently that's not the case. he didn't just write Pillars of the Earth, he wrote different series. So Pillars of the Earth in his also by Ken Follett list is about halfway down. And Winter of the World is not listed at all, which just tells me that it came out after Fall of Giants, because Fall of Giants isn't on the list either. So it doesn't tell me straight up. Where is it? Oh yeah, there it is. On the inside cover, it actually says Book 1 of the Century Trilogy, which I'm hoping this one says Book 2. Book 2 of the Century Trilogy. So I just need to find Book 3 somewhere, and then I'll be right. So yeah, this is enormous because not only is it tall, but it is thick. And it is, oh, surprisingly, only 850 pages. So it's actually shorter than The Ink Black Heart, which was over 1,000. It was like 1,012. So that's interesting. It must be bigger font, I guess. So anyway, Fall of Giants. 5 families are brought together through the world-shaking dramas of the First World War, the Russian Revolution, and the struggle for votes for women. It's 1911 and the coronation day of King George V. 13-year-old Billy Williams begins his first day at work in a coal mine. The Williams family is connected by romance and enmity to the Fitzherberts as aristocratic coal mine owners. Lady Maud Fitzherbert falls in love with Walter von Ulrich, a spy at the German embassy in London. Their destiny is entangled with that of Gus Dewar, ambitious young aide to US President Woodrow Wilson. 2 orphaned Russian brothers soon become involved, but Grigory and Lev Peshkov's plan to emigrate to America falls foul of war, conscription, and revolution. Drama and intrigue unfold as Fall of Giants moves seamlessly from Washington to St. Petersburg, from the dirt and danger of a coal mine to the glittering chandeliers of a palace, from the corridors of power to the bedrooms of the mighty. As always, Ken Follett's richly developed historical background only enhances the fast-moving action and powerful emotion of this absorbing narrative. So it does sound interesting because it is very historically based, but I'm assuming fiction. So yeah, it seems like it jumps all around the world, which is interesting in itself. And the sequel, again, 5 interlinked families live out their destinies as the world is shaken by tyranny and war in the mid-20th century. Berlin in 1933 is in upheaval. 11-year-old Carla von Ulrich, okay, that's a name that, well, a surname that came out of the last one, struggles to understand the tensions disrupting her family as Hitler strengthens his grip on Germany. Okay, so the first one was 1911. This one's 1933. So we've jumped, what's that? 22 years. So this is potentially the next generation of these 5 families, maybe. Into this turmoil steps her mother's formidable friend and former British MP Ethel Leckwith and her student son Lloyd, who soon learns for himself the brutal reality of Nazism. He also encounters a group of Germans resolved to oppose Hitler, but are they willing to go so far as to betray their country? Such people are closely watched by Volodya, a Russian with a bright future in Red Army intelligence. The international clash of military power and personal beliefs that ensues will sweep over them as it rages from Cable Street in London's East End to Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, from Spain to Stalingrad, from Dresden to Hiroshima. At Cambridge, Lloyd is irresistibly drawn to dazzling American socialite Daisy Peshkov. Oh, Peshkov, that's another name that was out of the other one. Who represents everything his left-wing family despise. But Daisy is more interested in aristocratic Boy Fitzherbert, another name from the last one, amateur pilot, party lover, and leading light of the British Union of Fascists. Back in Berlin, Carla worships Golden Boy Werner from afar. But nothing will work out the way they expect, as their lives and the hopes of the world are smashed by the greatest and cruelest war in the history of the human race. Continues on the back. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so it says that you can actually read this on its own or read it in sequence with Fall of Giants. So that's interesting. So they could be standalone, but they are a series. I will read them as a series. I think it just makes more sense. That's the way that they were intended. But yeah, so as you can see, I've got what, 4, 8, 14. I picked up 14 books at the book fair. Yeah. Not to mention the 100 and whatever I already had on my shelf that haven't been read yet. So wish me luck. And I'll see you in the next video.